said, all that we see or seem is just a dream within a dream. When we have a dream at night and you know, we wake up, oh no, it's just a dream. Oh, but it was so real. Well, this is a dream. It's just more real in the way we experience it. And the human body too, like everything, is not physical. It's a holographic, illusory physical form, which in its base state, here we go again, is waveform information. This has massive implications for healing, true healing. Because what the medical profession does, and the big pharma, it wants to heal this. Well, it doesn't. Some of them do, the big pharma doesn't. He wants the bucks, but it wants to treat this. But this is just a projection. That's why it only treats symptoms, not causes, because the causes are here in information distortion. If you harmonize the distortion, that must heal, because that's just a projection of that. Bloody so simple. And this story kind of encapsulates just the illusory nature of everything. There was a guy called Michael Tolbert. He wrote a great book back in the 90s called The Holographic Universe. He looked at the scientific evidence for the fact that this is a holographic, illusory physical world, which it is. And he told the story in that book of a party that his father held, and he experienced, he was there, at his home, and the father got a stage hypnotist along to do party tricks. And he got this guy, his name was Tom, sat him down, and he said to him, after he'd done his, you know, you're eating an apple and it's really potato stuff. And what's that? What's that? What is hypnotist doing? He is telling the decoding process, it's a potato. You're eating an apple. So when the vibrational information from the apple becomes electrical information to the brain, instead of the brain decoding the apple, because it's been encoded to believe it's an apple, potato, that's what it decodes. And you try telling somebody eating an apple that's a potato that it isn't an apple. Look, mate, I can taste an apple. And they say this about everything. Oh, look, mate, I can see it. Oh, look, I know it's real, but it's just the way we're decoding it. And in this example, as he was starting to bring Tom out of his hypnotic state, he said to him, when I bring you back to waking state, Tom, you're not going to be able to see your daughter in the room. And what he did then was led the daughter to stand in front of the father. So he's looking in her belly. And he brings him out of a trance state, apparently, and he said to him, can you see your daughter, Tom, in the room? And Tom's looking around, he said, can't see anything. No, she's not here. She's here! And she's laughing. But he's saying she's not in the room. Everyone else is in the room that can see her, but he can't, for reasons I'll come to. And then the hypnotist went behind the daughter, with put his hand in the small of her back, and he said, I'm holding something, Tom. What am I holding? So he looks, and it's so obvious to him, it's a watch. He says, there's an inscription on it, Tom. What is it? He peered forward, he read the inscription. His daughter's between him and the watch. Dogma Dawkins, rubbish! Not possible, not possible! Well, let's have a look, Dogma. Let's have a look here. What's gone on? The foundation of the daughter, like the foundation of this entire universe, is waveform information. And if the father does not decode the waveform level of the daughter into holographic reality, she does not exist in the reality of his conscious mind, because he's not decoded her into that level of reality. Everyone else in the room can see her because they've not had the hypnotic blocking mechanism put in there saying, you're not going to be able to see your daughter, Tom. And only when he decodes her into holographic reality can she appear in his reality. And if she's not been decoded into his reality, he can see what's behind her, because at that level of reality, she's not there. She's at another level of frequency. Now imagine again, if you were at the core of this conspiracy and you knew that. And you controlled the media, and you controlled the television, and you controlled the education system, and you controlled all the sources of information that people receive in the mainstream. You could make them perceive and decode almost anything you wanted. So the world is not outside of us. It just appears like that. I grant you it does. But it's not. It's illusory. It's within us. Within us, that's where we are decoding reality. And this is the key. This is the gateway. This is the gateway. The doorway out of the prison. I'm going to go into this very, very deeply as we go through the day. The power of the heart. We think of intellect, the brain, that's a very low level of awareness. This is the real level of awareness that connects us beyond the world of the illusion into the greater ocean of awareness, the greater love, intuition. This is where intuition comes from. We don't say, oh, I just intuitively feel, do we? We go, I just intuitively feel. We're doing the body language and we're indicating where this is coming from. And it is innate intelligence. It's not, I've been to university and I've remembered all these things, what dogma told me, and I've passed my exams. That's not intelligence, that is memory, overwhelmingly. This is true innate intelligence, knowing, not thinking. And I'm not just talking about the heart that pumps the blood. I'm talking about this heart vortex, which is the spiritual heart, which opens us through into the greater ocean if we open it. If we don't, it shuts us off from the greater ocean. There's an organization in America called the Institute of Heart Math, which does a lot of research. Its whole kind of focus is on the power of the heart. And it points out that the most powerful electromagnetic field in the body is the heart. There are more nerves going from the heart to the brain than coming the other way. And they found something else in their research, that if the heart and the brain and the central nervous system are in coherence, electromagnetic harmony coherence, the person goes into a completely different and much, much higher level of consciousness and awareness. If that coherence is broken with incoherent resonance, then you come out of that high state of consciousness into a lower state of consciousness. I've just described one of the greatest mechanisms and goals of this global conspiracy, because this is the heart resonance, coherence, when people are in a state of appreciation, of love. This is their incoherence when we're in a state of frustration, of fear, of anger, of resentment. And look at the society that we have had structured for us by the crazes that run it. It is a factory, a global factory of all the emotional states that knock us into heart incoherence and thus hold us down in a lower level of consciousness. That's why it's done. The Institute of Heart Math said this: there is also new data suggesting that the heart's field is directly involved in intuitive perception beyond mind through its coupling to an energetic information outside the bounds of space and time. Yes, outside the walls of the illusion. Thus, they want heart-closed people so that we do not breach the walls of the illusion and stay within it. That is why they have structured society as they have, and in section 2 I'll explain all that in detail. So, the idea is to hold us here and keep us detached of an awareness and an influence from that. Now, one of the great things about doing what I do is when you come across other people's research in various disciplines and various specific areas, and it fits into what you're doing perfectly. And this is an example. Cosmic communication. There is now a whole area, and a fast emerging area, of research of the universe, which is basically given the heading of the electrical universe. Two of the great pioneers of it are Wallace Thornhill and David Tolbert. And David Talbot will come up in relation to something else later on. And this is a great book. I don't think it's very easy to get. I didn't find it easy anyway, but it's a really great book. And it is explaining the electromagnetic nature of this universe with brilliant supporting evidence. Now, we are aware of the electricity in the atmosphere when we see lightning. What most people don't realize is when lightning has happened in the lower atmosphere, it actually continues up under different names like elves, sprites, tendrils, right out into beyond the Earth's field into the cosmos. And it's funny, mainstream science seems to think there are no electrical phenomena, but they say there are electromagnetic phenomena out there, and you can't have electromagnetism without electricity. Even someone who never took an exam in his life and left Crown Hill Secondary Modern in Leicester in 1966, something like that, at the age of 15, I can see that that don't make sense. Things like tornadoes are fast-rotating electrical fields. That's why they appear so often when there are electrical storms in the atmosphere. The northern lights are electrical phenomena. The galaxy is moved by electrical forces, and as it moves, it itself is like a disk motor, creating other electrical forces. And this is what they say in the book, Electric Universe. The electrical force is about 1,000 trillion times more powerful than gravity. And it's clear when you look at it that it's not gravity that holds things together and holds planets in their orbits. It's electromagnetic forces, which will become very significant in stage 2, part 2 today, because if the planets of bodies are held in their orbits and held in some form of stability by electromagnetic forces, then anything that distorts those forces is going to cause those bodies to go walkabout, which has happened in this solar system in relatively recent times, which I'll get to that later. Now, this is mainstream science. 99.9%, 99 in fact, of the universe, the visible universe, is plasma. And plasma just happens to be the virtually perfect medium for electricity to pass through. One of the researchers into the electrical nature of the universe said, in the laboratory, plasma exhibits a lifelike ability to self-organize and to cope with the stresses of its electrical environment. Why can it lifelike self-organize? Because, like everything else, it is an expression of consciousness. It is an awareness. The thing about the electrical universe advocates is that they can replicate phenomena in space, in the universe, in the laboratory through things like the plasma focus device and things. Mainstream science can overwhelmingly not replicate their version of what's happening out there or why it's happening. Comets are electrically affected forces as they pass through an electrical universe, creating electrical phenomena. The sun is virtually entirely plasma. Why? Because it is a filterer and a processor of electricity in the universe. And things like solar flares are just massively greater examples of things like lightning. Now, the official mainstream version of the sun is that it has some nuclear core which passes heat out through a radiative zone and a convective zone and punches holes in, like they call sunspots, in the surface, and thus the more sunspots there are, the more the solar activity at the time. Well, there's a few things to that. First of all, there's no evidence of a radiative zone, and the convective zone is 1% of what it would need to be for that to be true. And also, if it's coming from the core and going outwards, Why is the surface incredibly